Hello everyone, welcome to Arpita Sharma classes. I am Arpita Sharma, your educator, and today we are going to analyze the Hindu newspaper for 12th May 2020. आप सभी का स्वागत है अर्पिता शर्मा क्लासेस में। आज हम 12th May 2020 का द हिंदू न्यूज़पेपर एनालाइज करने जा रहे हैं। The PDF of the classes are uploaded on my Telegram channel and the name of the Telegram channel is Simplifying UPSC with Ease. क्लास के PDF Telegram चैनल पे अपलोड कर देते हैं हम और Telegram चैनल का नाम है Simplifying UPSC with Ease. So the link of the same is given below in the description box. Telegram channel का link भी दिया हुआ है description box में. You can click on the link and you will be redirected towards the channel, and so you can accordingly join the channel for the latest notifications, updates about the exam, important notes, class notes, PDFs, etc. Okay, so without any delay, let's start decoding today's Hindu newspaper, the Hindu newspaper. Now let's start with solving the MCQs. Prelims perspective से जो MCQs है उनको solve करना शुरू करते हैं. Then we'll start the class. 5 questions we'll solve in today's class. Question number 1 is Global Information Early Warning System is released by an agency of United Nations as a marker of epidemics, food price alerts, natural hazards, or wars and genocide. Tell me the correct answer to this question. Correct answer बताएं इस question का. You have 5 seconds time to answer this question. Question answer करने का आपके पास 5 सेकंड का टाइम है. Correct answer to this question is, it is B, food price alerts. So it is released by FAO. The Global Information and Early Warning System on Food and Agriculture was created by Committee on World Food Security. And the aim is to harmonize the food security and early warning data across the countries to strengthen the analytical capacity of key national institutions to support food security policy formulation and emergency interventions. Correct answer is B. Okay. Question number 2. Which of the following items form the part of capital receipt of a state government in India? Borrowings from RBI and commercial banks through sale of treasury bills, interest receipt on account of loans forwarded by state government, receipts obtained from sale of shares in state public sector undertakings. Select the correct code. This question has been taken from chapter number 5, class 12th NCERT Macroeconomics. You have 5 seconds time to answer the question. आप लोगों के पास 5 सेकंड का टाइम है इसे आंसर करने का. Correct answer is D. That is only statement 3 is correct. Statement 1 and 2 are wrong. Borrowing from RBI and commercial banks through sale of treasury bills. This is wrong. If question asked for the capital receipt of central government, then statement 1 could have been right if government was raising resource through sale of treasury bills, not borrowing. Okay. And statement number 2 is also wrong because it is a part of revenue receipt. Interest receipts on account of loans forwarded by state government, that is wrong. It is a part of revenue receipt. Question number 3. With reference to Indian pangolins, consider the following statements. All species of pangolins feature on the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Red list of animals. Indian pangolins are under threat due to large-scale hunting and poaching for consumptive uses as a protein source and traditional medicine. Which particular statement is correct? Tell me in the comment section. You have 5 seconds time to answer this question. Correct answer to this question is, it is C. That is both statement 1 and 2 are correct. दोनों ही statements correct हैं. Question number 4. Which of the following crops is not classified as millets in India? Ragi, maize, sorghum or castor? Correct answer to this question is, इस question का correct answer है, it is D, castor, because it's an oil seed. ये एक oil seed है. ठीक है? Clear? It is not classified as millet. Question number 5. Prasad scheme, which is in news recently, was launched on behalf of which union ministry? Ministry of Human Resource Development, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Women and Child Development. Which one is correct? Tell me in the comment section. जल्दी से बताएं comment section में. Correct answer is B, Ministry of Tourism. Prasad scheme's full form is Pilgrimage, Rejuvenation and Spiritual Augmentation Drive. It is a scheme to identify and develop pilgrimage tourist destinations on principles of high tourist visits, competitiveness and sustainability to enrich religious tourism experience. So now you have to tell me your scores in the comment section. Also, here's a small announcement. I am taking a covering current affairs through MCQs course. It's a free special live class which I am taking tomorrow. In this class, we are going to cover all the important current affairs in MCQ format from March and April 2020. तो कल मैं ये क्लास ले रही हूँ. Tomorrow in the morning at 10 AM this class will be taken. This is a special free live class. ये एक free live class होगी जो Unacademy Plus पे ली जाएगी. Link is given below in the description box. It will be a free live class and it starts on May 13. That is tomorrow. I'm taking this class at 10 AM, 10 to 11. In which I will be covering all the important current affairs of March and April 2020 in the format of MCQs. MCQ के format में हम current affairs को March, April 2020 के current affairs को cover करेंगे. All right. So do attend this class. This is a free class. You can register in this class. आप register कर सकते हो. Free class है ये. Okay. Also, you can subscribe to Unacademy Plus and get 10% डिस्काउंट बाय यूजिंग दिस रेफरल कोड शर्मा20. अगर आप Unacademy Plus पे 1 मंथ, 3 मंथ, 6 मंथ या 12 मंथ्स का सब्सक्रिप्शन लेना चाहते हैं तो शर्मा20 रेफरल कोड यूज करके आपको 10% स्ट्रेट अवे डिस्काउंट मिल जाएगा. आई एम ऑल्सो टेकिंग कोर्सेज ऑन Unacademy Plus, आर्ट एंड कल्चर एंड covering entire 1 year's current affairs through MCQ course. You can subscribe it now. And there are other courses also as well. Right, batches are also there, test series are also there. You can enroll in them. Now let's start with today's Hindu analysis. Today we are going to analyze one very important editorial, the need for a second chamber. The proposal for Rajya Sabha as a second chamber had no easy sailing in the Constituent Assembly. Now the Rajya Sabha came into being on April 3, 1952. The points I am highlighting are important for prelims. Please write it down. इसको please लिख लीजिए जो मैं points आपको बता रही हूँ, highlight कर रही हूँ. Okay. Rajya Sabha came into being on April 3, 1952 and held its first session on May 13 the same year. उसी year 1952 में ही एक महीने बाद इन्होंने अपना पहला session held किया. The second chamber underwent severe prenatal scrutiny in Constituent Assembly. Proposal for a bicameral central legislature for country was discussed at length in this particular meeting, and there were deep divisions between the proponents and the opponents. Proponents who kept forward this particular proposal and the opponents who were criticizing it. From this churning that went on for 8 days, ये जो मंथन हुआ 8 दिन तक जो चला कि second chamber होना चाहिए नहीं होना चाहिए, bicameral central legislature should be there or not, this all churning went on for 8 days with the participation of leading members of Constituent Assembly. Finally emerged the Council of States and its mandate. And after 68 years, it is instructive to revisit the debates on the need for Council of States and its performance since then. Central legislature that came into being under the Government of India Act 1919, it was a bicameral with a Council of States comprising 60 members and Legislative Assembly comprising 145 members. And the membership and voting norms for the Council of States were so restrictive that only the wealthy landowners, merchants and those with legislative experience could enter it. This was the drawback back at that time. Women could neither vote nor seek membership. उस time पे ये drawback था. Government of India Act 1935 proposed an elaborate and improved version of second chamber, but this never materialized. And the Constituent Assembly, which was formed in 1947 after adoption of Constitution, became provincial parliament and made laws till 1952. So this was the historical background of राज्य सभा. ये आपका हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड था बाइकेमरल लेजिस्लेचर का, सेंट्रल लेजिस्लेचर का. ऑल राइट. नाउ व्हाट इज बाइकेमरलिज्म एंड फेडरलिज्म? व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट बाइकेमरलिज्म, जब हम बाइकेमरलिज्म की बात करते हैं, इट इज अ प्रिंसिपल that requires consent of two differently constituted chambers of parliament for making or changing laws. Bicameralism means a principle that requires consent permission of two differently constituted formed chambers of parliament for making or changing laws. बाइकेमरलिज्म मतलब ये वो प्रिंसिपल है कि दोनों ही जो हमारे चेंबर्स हैं, अपर चेंबर लोअर चेंबर, दोनों से ही परमिशन लेनी पड़ती है लॉज बनाने के लिए या लॉज में बदलाव लाने के लिए. This principle came into operation, again very important fact for prelims, it came into operation in 1787 with the adoption of US Constitution. So we have adopted it from US Constitution. Its appeal grew in strength from time to time. At present, 79 parliaments of the world, that is 41% of total number, they are bicameral. Now what is federalism? Federalism क्या होता है? Let us understand that also. When we talk about federalism, it has been vogue since ancient times when some states got together to confer power of law making on a central authority. But modern federalism is entirely different because of the geographical complexity, regional complexity of countries. US is a union of constituent states and so is India. Each unit has a set of unique features. So what is federalism? So federalism in Hindi means संघवाद. हिंदी में federalism का मतलब होता है संघवाद. It is a type of government in which the power is divided between national government and other governmental units. Okay, that is federalism. Federalism बहुत तरह की होती हैं. There are many different types of federalism. One is dual federalism. Another is cooperative federalism. In India we see cooperative federalism. भारत में हम cooperative federalism को देखते हैं, which is the idea that the federal government and state government share power equally. Federal government और state government के बीच में power equally share होगा. What is dual federalism? It is the idea that union and state they share power, but the federal government holds more than the individual states. Okay, so it is a very significant feature which we have taken from USA. हमने USA से ये फेडरलिज्म का जो फीचर है दिया है, बाइकेमरलिज्म का फीचर दिया है. Clear everyone? It allows the states to keep their enumerated rights, crime and punishment, and education, right, on the basis of the decisions which they make. So in the Federalist, the famous essay is written in 1787-88 by James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Jay to explain US Constitution. It was stated that second chamber enables second and reflective expression of representative opinion besides checking the propensity to yield to the impulse of sudden and violent passions. यानी कि अगर फर्स्ट चेंबर में किसी भी तरीके की हाईली एम्बिशियस प्रपोजल सामने रखा जाए या वायलेंट प्रपोजल सामने रखा जाए तो सेकंड चेंबर उस पर एक नजर बना के रखता है, उसको कंट्रोल में रखता है. क्लियर? Federalism and bicameralism are linked. Why? Because federal character of a nation comprising constituent units can be reflected in and secured by a bicameral legislature. Despite being conscious of the huge degree of diversities and attendant inequalities that marked British India and aware of the emergence of independent India as union of states, proposal for Rajya Sabha as second chamber had no easy sailing in Constituent Assembly. It was subjected to serious argumentation and had a very narrow escape as well. So as an illustration, member of Constituent Assembly Muhammad Tahir asserted that an upper house was not essential. Muhammad Tahir का कहना ये था कि upper house जरूरी नहीं है because it will create imperialism. Professor Shibban Lal Saxena went further and warned that such a chamber would only prove to be a clog in the wheel of progress to the nation, because whatever the first house will try to pass, the second chamber will try to stop it. Right? He was perhaps referring to the role of the House of Lords in British Parliament, whose powers to veto the expenditure proposed was removed. Proponents of the second chamber, that means the people who were in favor of the second chamber, like Nazruddin Ahmad, felt that it would introduce an element of sobriety and second thought besides lending voice to constituent units. Now basically the people who were in favor of the second chamber, they said that why not there should be another chamber that could limit the aggressive powers of the first chamber. If the first chamber is trying to pass something or propose something, the second chamber can also look into the validity of that law or bill or act, right? It can lend a second voice, second thought can be given. एक ही तरीके से सोचा जाए जरूरी तो नहीं है ना, और opinions भी लेने चाहिए जिसके लिए second chamber हमारी help करेगा. So it fell upon N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar to make a strong case for the second chamber. Replying to the debate on the motion that is in favor, he argued that the most that we expect the second chamber to do is perhaps to hold dignified debates on important issues and to delay legislations which might be the outcome of passions of the moment until the passions have subsided and calm consideration can be bestowed on the measures which will be before the legislature. So basically, in favor of second chamber, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar said that second chamber can act as a second thought. It can act as a place or as a house or as a chamber who can delay legislations which are coming as a result of passions of the moment. यानी कि heat of the moment में कोई decision लिया है तो उस पर नजर रखने के लिए, उसको कंट्रोल में करने के लिए second chamber जरूरी है. As the difference over the need for a second chamber persisted even after adoption of the constitution in 1950, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, who was the first chairman, underlined this. This is important for prelims. Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, he was the first chairman of Rajya Sabha. He said that Parliament is not only a legislative body but also a deliberative one which enables the members to debate major issues of public importance. He echoed that James Madison, one of the authors of the Federalist, said about 165 years earlier in an essay that the role of upper house is to be deliberative body besides balancing the fickleness and passion of the elected house. So what follows from this discussion is that house elected directly by people is susceptible to passions of the moment. That is, the house which is elected directly by people can take decisions in the heat of the moment, right? Disregarding the electoral considerations. Their imprint on legislation needs to be checked by the second chamber, whose members are expected to be sober, wise and well informed and with specific domain knowledge as well. The mandate of Rajya Sabha, as can be gleaned from Constituent Assembly debates and the experience of other parliaments, is legislation. What is legislation? To revise or delay legislation without proving a clog in the wheel of progress, to represent interest of states as federal chamber and be a deliberative body holding high quality debates on important issue. किसी एक की नहीं चलनी चाहिए, ऐसा make sure करेगा ये second chamber. The second chamber will make sure that no one person is an authority or no one house is an authority. So what are the benefits of second chamber? Advantages of having a bicameral legislature are well known. Upper house provides a forum for academicians and intellectuals. They are arguably not suited for nature of electoral politics. They are for advice. They are for holding positive, knowledgeable debates, right? In essence, it provides a mechanism for a more serious appraisal of legislation. Clear? So this was the most important editorial for today. ये आज का बहुत ही important editorial था. Now the next important topic is this, right to religion. Supreme Court explains reference to larger bench. So a 9-judge bench of Supreme Court declared that superior courts enjoy the untrammeled power to take up any cause to do complete justice. Article 142 is given to Supreme Court under which it enjoys the right to do immediate complete justice. ये याद रखना prelims के लिए. You have to remember this for prelims. So here article 142 is important. यहाँ पर article 142 बहुत important है. So this question can come, which of the following articles of Constitution of India provides a unique power to Supreme Court to do complete justice between the parties? Okay, अब इस न्यूज आर्टिकल से ये इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन बन सकता है. तो द करेक्ट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन इज that is C, article 142. Okay, article 142 provides a unique power to the Supreme Court to do complete justice between the parties. That is, where at times the law or statute may not provide a remedy, then the court can extend itself to put a quietus to a dispute in a manner which would befit the facts of the case. So this particular topic is important for GS paper 2 as well as prelims. Prelims polity portion के लिए ये news important है. Now next important news is this, trade unions may knock at ILO's door. 10 central trade unions on Monday said that they were considering lodging a complaint with International Labour Organization against the anti-worker changes in labour laws in some states, which they said was at the instance of central government. Here we have to study the International Labour Organization. What is this organization all about? This is important for prelims. So the history of ILO is, it was established in 1919 by Treaty of Versailles as an affiliated agency of League of Nations, and it became the first affiliated specialized agency of UN in 1946. Headquarter is in Switzerland. Okay, remember this. And it received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1969 as well. These are important for your prelims. These facts are important. They work for social justice, promoting international recognized human and labor rights. They improve peace among the classes, provide technical help to developing nations, They pursue decent work and justice for workers as well. Clear? Also, you can see on page number 12, Education During an Emergency, it talks about National Technology Day. So let us understand what is National Technology Day. 29th National Technology Day was celebrated on 11th May 2020. It was first observed on 11th May 1999, and the aim of National Technology Day was to mark the scientific and technological achievements of Indian scientists engineers. Okay, that is why it is celebrated. The day was named by former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Every year, Technology Development Board of India, which is a statutory body under Ministry of Science and Technology, celebrates this day with a national award given to the scientists and the engineers. The focus this year was rebooting economy through science and technology. Right now we know because of this pandemic of coronavirus, the economy is shaking up. So how we can reboot the economy through science and technology? This was the theme this year. It is the day successfully tested nuclear bombs in Pokhran on 11th May 1998, and the next year this day was first observed. Okay, clear everyone? And on the same day, India performed a successful test firing of Trishul missile also, and first indigenous aircraft Hansa 3 was used. All right, and we also code named the Operation Shakti. पोखरण 2 मिशन में हमने शक्ति 1 न्यूक्लियर मिसाइल ऑपरेशन जो था हमारा पोखरण 2 का, जब हमने शक्ति 1 न्यूक्लियर मिसाइल को टेस्ट फायर किया था, हमने इसको कोड नेम दिया था ऑपरेशन शक्ति. सो दिस वाज ऑल फॉर टुडे. आई होप यू एंजॉयड टुडेज क्लास. आज की क्लास सबको अच्छी लगी. So you can subscribe to Unacademy Plus and get 10% discount by using this referral code Sharma20. आप 1 month, 3 month, 6 month या 12 month का subscription ले सकते हो. EMI is available on 6, 12 and 24 month subscription. This was all for today. Have a beautiful day ahead.